Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, Cesar Espino, and today I have a special guest. She is originally from the Netherlands, moved to a rural village in Lesental in 1984. This is when her personal development journey began. By 1994, she had qualified as an education kinesiologist and later expanded into allergy, work, and medical intuition. She guides people to improve self esteem, health, and relationships, using forgiveness as a key for lasting change. After the death of her first husband in 1996, she decided to stop making a living and started making a life by turning her coaching side hustle into her main profession. She also developed a revolutionary iThrive web app. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Hanna Kok. How are you, Hannah?
I'm very well, Caesar. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
definitely. So why don't you tell me a little bit more about that? I think, tell me about your upbringing and how all of that was for you.
Well, I am number five out of six children. I grew up in the Netherlands. And when you're one of six, it's difficult to be noticed, and you always have older siblings telling you what to do. And at some stage, I thought, you know what, it's time for an adventure. And then I went to a little country called Lesotho,
Yeah.
and that is a little mountain kingdom inside South Africa. If you look at the map on South Africa, there's always like a little pimple in there, and it's a mountain kingdom where I then went. But growing up, my upbringing was all right, but we all have traumatic events. I had my own of being hospitalized as a young baby, and that has a huge impact. But
Hmm.
later, I used my mess as a message. I discovered how I can assist others because I've experienced the impact of that type of, that separation.
Yeah.
So young. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very interesting thing. There's somebody said something about sometimes from pain a purpose is born, right? And you went through something, and now you kind of said, hey, maybe I can turn this around. As you said, you decided to start living your life too at one point, and said, hey, let me make a shift there. Um, Tell me a little bit about that because I believe that's a huge message overall when you're taking something where you're like, I myself did this too a while back where I was going through NLP certified and I wanted to do that to kind of help myself. And then I realized, hey, if this is doing something for me, how about if I can kind of turn around and now do this for other people, right? So you took all of that stuff and decided to say, hey, you know what? Let me make a profession out of coaching and helping other people. So tell me more about that.
Well, as I mentioned, as you read in the bio, I lost my first husband, and it was not a natural cause, let's put it like that. So I had to apply forgiveness, a lot of forgiveness, the people that were involved, but I also had to forgive myself because everything that happens to us, we play a role in it just by being there. We play a role, and we need to forgive ourselves for our role in the difficult situation that we created. And I was very fortunate that before this tragedy happened, that resulted in his death, that I already had learned a lot about forgiveness. I was studying spiritual development, and the teacher had said, it's really important to forgive. We forgive for ourselves, not for the other people. Forgiveness is not about condoning what people have done. It's all about releasing and moving on. And because I knew that I could forgive what happened, I could see the people around me that struggled with it, how sick they became. And then I also now realize as I'm coaching how often forgiveness comes up. And I can say, well, if I can forgive this, what's stopping you from forgiving what you're dealing with? And you're doing it for you and not for the other people.
Right. And talking about forgiveness, I mean that's a huge word by itself, and more than just the word is the action. In your case, your husband was murdered, right? And so that's a huge
Yeah.
thing to kind of overcome and really forgive someone that would do even at that extreme that type of act, right? Or action towards another human being. So people will say, why, Hannah? Why would you even think about forgiving somebody that murdered your husband, right? And so, with that, tell me a lot about, because you obviously were going through a lot of ups and downs, right? And I'm sure you see this with your clients too, where, as you said, it keeps coming up, right? How do you help somebody break through and understand that that is the way out? You know, forgiving somebody even to an extreme where, hey, maybe you lost a family member to a murder or something, right?
Yeah. Well, there were so many coincidences around that whole incident. First of all, before it happened, I witnessed a woman who she was a friend of the family and she had lost her daughter. And 3 years later, she was still depressed, asking why. Why did that happen? Because in this case, the daughter got a viral infection, and by Saturday, she had the infection, and 48 hours later, she was dead. So this mother, 3 years later, still stuck. So I thought, oh, that mustn't have that happen to me. And I realized when we start asking the question why, we will never get a satisfactory answer. Yeah, she died because she had a viral infection. Yeah, but why? Why did I have to lose it? Why wasn't my daughter? We don't know. We have to move on. So I learned already before it happened that the questions to ask is, how can I move forward? What can I learn from it? There was another thing that happened was really miraculous. A week after he passed, a book arrived in the post. Now, I want to give you an idea of how remote the place was where I lived.
Hmm.
We did not have a telephone. We did not have running water unless we organized it ourselves. Electricity came either from solar panels or from a generator. We did not have sewage. We did not have refuge pickup. That and then our so-called car park because we ran a trading station, and the people that came to our shop came on horses and donkeys. So our car park was filled with horses and donkeys and an occasional car. That's how remote it was. So for things to arrive in the post box, they don't arrive at your house. You have to go to the post office, pick it up. And this book arrived a week after he died on Death and Dying. And this was a friend of mine that had written it. And she posted it like 2, 3 weeks before. So she
Hmm.
posted while he was still alive. And in the book, she wrote that on a soul level, you make a decision to die 3 days before your actual death.
Hmm.
And I'm sure you've heard many stories of how people somehow knew they were going
Yeah.
and they got their house in order and they said their goodbyes. It was, and not that they had an illness or anything, they just somehow knew. My husband had written in his diary 3 days before he died, I'm so stuck, it's time to move on.
Wow.
So, if he decided to die 3 days before he was murdered,
Hmm.
and I'm doing it like that, maybe it was part of his journey. It was his choice. I know some of the listeners will go like, okay, now you're really cuckoo. It's
Yeah.
okay. You don't have to take what I'm saying. but it helped me to not be angry with the people because they knew who did it. Nobody was ever arrested. So I had to find a way to make peace with it.
Mm. Yeah.
I had a young son. My son was 16 months old when it happened. And I knew that if I would get caught in a grudge and bitterness, my son would have lost both parents that night.
Yeah.
So I had to choose for me and my son. And whatever I did to move forward, that's what I did.
Yeah. You know what? One, so two things that come to mind that as you're sharing that, number one is you have to ask the right questions, right? Instead of asking why, as you said, ask the right questions. How or what can I do? Or it's time to move on, right? So being able to be conscious enough to ask the right questions so that you seek better answers, right? And then the second thing is you have to uh, more or less with yourself you have to be content and you have to find peace within you, right, to say okay, you know, again, what took place, whatever that might be, is not the best or the greatest. As you said, though, I have to do this for myself. You know, if I have kids, if I have whatever, right, I got to do that to be able to move forward. And again, I know that that's sometimes very challenging for people to be able to do, because they get so hung up on that, whatever that might be, right? And I know that in some cases, you know, again, it could probably be forgiving somebody that kidnapped you or raped you or whatever different cases. Um, have you come across where people, unfortunately, before they find you, have gotten themselves into a mess where maybe they turn into drugs or addictions, as a result of not being able to get out of their own head?
That definitely has happened. And also, what happens is people get ill.
Mm,
And that is something totally overlooked. We totally underestimate the health price we pay when we don't forgive. And absolutely, when people are addicted, then there is an unresolved trauma, and they can only get out of that addiction and without relapsing if they resolve that trauma, if they make peace with it. And there, forgiveness plays a huge role again. They have to forgive whatever happened, they have to forgive themselves for their role in it in order to move forward. And I explain to people, I mean, if you look at illnesses like cancer,
mm,
especially illnesses like cancer, it is about what is eating you. What grudge are you holding that you allow to eat away at your life force? And the antidote is finding a way to make peace with it. And and forgiveness is not about like, oh, well, I'm so good and what you've done is so bad. Let me be the right person and forgive. It's not about that. It's about accepting what happened and finding a way to move forward and then focusing on the growth. Every difficult situation, there is an opportunity for growth. And in my situation, we were running a trading station. We had been talking about how can we make a living, how can we stop making a living and start making a life. And when he died, I said, now is the time to make a life and do that in honor of his death.
yeah.
And when speak to people who've been raped or other things happened, you can use that as a turning point, a growth point. As we spoke about earlier, you can make that mess into a message. It can become your life purpose. And if you're willing to look at it like that, forgiveness becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, I like what you said here, and this is a very good message, that holding on to forgiveness toward other people poisons our bodies and our lives, We forgive for our own sake, and it makes us overcoming an obstacle so much easier. And so, can you've kind of touched on that, but elaborate on that message more because I believe that that's huge. It's a powerful message, and again, it's just as you said, forgiveness is a word, but it's beyond that. As you said, it's really for your own sake, and also making sure that you don't get ill and be at peace with yourself, right?
Absolutely, because there is a science behind the power of forgiveness. You can
Mm,
actually explain it. If we look at the amount of energy that we have, say, to just make it easier for me to explain, you have 10 units of energy every day. And you'll use about 4 of those units for running your life, for going to work, for playtime, family time, hobbies, 4 units. 6 units are needed approximately for running the body,
mm,
for the digestive system, for the immune system, for the repair, restore, and rejuvenate system. The whole keeping this body together takes up a lot of energy. Now, I'm sure you've noticed when you're upset with something, about something with somebody, it
yeah.
mills in your head. It goes round and round. And so a lot of your physical and mental energy is now taken up by this traumatic, difficult event that you're dealing with. What happens is your body goes into stress mode. Now it puts stress hormones on top of it. The brain can now not function anymore properly because your higher wisdom is out the window. Your left brain, depending if you're left or right brain, one of those lobes switches off. So basically, you've got like a quarter of a brain left, and you have to deal with life. So those 4 units that you have for your life will all be around work because it takes so much more effort because you only got like quarter of a brain left to simplify it.
Hmm.
Um, and so it's only work, it's work, 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 no play, no family time. And then on top of it, you got now the stress hormones running through the body. And you, instead of having 6 units for repair, restore, rejuvenate, and running the body, you maybe have only 3 units left because the other three are just dealing with the stress and letting these things mill in your head. What happens, you can look at it a bit as like a building. If you got to build a building, if you have all the building material there to do the restoration, if you don't have the workers there, you're going to fall behind, and eventually that building is going to fall apart. And that is what happens in our body as well.
Mm,
We don't have the energy. And then we can take, people think, I must take my supplements, I must eat right. That's making sure you have the right building blocks. But if you don't have the builders there, you
right.
don't have the energy, you're going to have a mess.
Yeah. What are some of the things that, or walk me through? Somebody comes to you, say, "Hey, I need help." Obviously, there's people or things that I have to forgive, and it's really draining me down. And I know every person is different. Do you have any suggestions as how somebody can start stepping away from that pain, from that, and start forgiving? Are there certain things that people can start doing, like the listeners that are listening to us right now? If they're
Yeah.
facing something, what can they start doing?
Well, there's a few things we can do. First of all, if we're angry, it's important that we admit we're angry. We don't have to be positive and pretend everything is fine. You know what fine stands for, right? Effed up, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. So we're
Hmm.
pretending everything is okay, everything is fine. But in the meantime, we are angry. And that anger is now going inside, attacking us, causing havoc in the body. So one of the things that I do when I'm upset about anything, there's 2 points on our forehead. Now, in your case, it is the middle of the fore, no, not the middle of the forehead, in the middle of the eyes. There's like that ridge, you know, when you frown, you got those
Yep.
frowning lines, right?
Hmm.
Because for women, it's halfway between the eyebrows and the hairline, but in your case, we'll do the frowning lines. It's also the same. And
Yep.
you hold these points, and these are acupressure points. They are called the emotional stress release points. And I don't know if you can think of a situation that is upsetting for you. You do not have to share with me what it is, but maybe you can share the emotion you're feeling. Is it anger or is it
I would say
frustration?
frustration probably.
Frustration. So you hold those points, you just hold them gently. You don't even have to massage them. And you just say to yourself, you know what? It's okay that I'm frustrated. I give myself permission to feel my frustration for now. And you just breathe and you allow yourself to feel the frustration. You don't go into the story of what's making you frustrated. You just feel the feeling. And then you can even say, I forgive myself for feeling so frustrated.
Mhm.
I can forgive myself feeling so powerless that I can't solve it. It's okay. I forgive myself for not having it all together. What happens to your frustration?
It disappears. It's like not, it's not there, right?
Exactly. And then you can even go a step further from there and you say, how do you want to feel? How do you want to feel instead of frustrated? How would you like to feel instead of frustration?
Relief, happy.
You want to feel happy, you want to feel relieved. So just connect with that happy feeling. And you just say, okay, you know what? I'm happy just because I deciding to be happy. I'm happy just because. And feel that happiness. And you can sit a bit longer like that until you really feel happy just because. Okay. And then when you're ready, you can let go of that.
Wow.
Now, and doing that, there's a whole lot of things that happen in the body. You reduced your stress levels. The stress hormones can switch off. You're relaxed. You've stimulated the prefrontal cortex. Now you can get the whole brain working again. Now you have your wisdom back. You can put things into perspective. You say, okay, you know what? It's okay. Or it's all right that I'm frustrated because whatever reason, you can see it much better. You can see solutions. You can now ask yourself, how can I move forward from here? What can I learn from this? Look for the gold in it. It becomes easier to forgive.
Yeah. I like that exercise, and a lot of people undermine or under uh, uh, you
Estimate.
estimate the power of something as simple as that. And even I some tell people, like, sometimes even when you get up, it's nice for you to talk to yourself in the mirror, right? And tell yourself good things about yourself or what you're looking forward to accomplish the day to day. Except that's the challenge. That's the challenge. People are so afraid to speak to themselves. Like in this case here, this exercise, you're also, having that conversation with yourself, right? And I think people have that challenge. One, they believe, hey, am I crazy? Am I going crazy by talking to myself? And then number two, I think that people do not believe that something like that can actually help them. What do you tell people that might have one or the other, or like, hey, why am I talking to myself? Or I don't think this is gonna work.
Well, if they don't want to talk to themselves, they can do it just silently. You don't have to talk to yourself out loud. You can think the thoughts out loud. I mean, that's funny. I was going to say, well, you only have to worry when you start answering yourself, when you talk to yourself. Do it in a way that works for you. You do not have to talk out loud, but sit with the feeling.
Mm,
Now, one of the reasons why a lot of people don't want to talk in the mirror is because they're told to tell themselves how beautiful they are or how great they are. But then we have this back chat going like, yeah, pff, who are you kidding?
mm,
You're beautiful or you great. Bullshit.
right.
And then we just feel worse. So instead of telling ourselves we're great, I came across something really wonderful. They're called love affirmations.
Mm,
And it goes like this. You say then, I love feeling good about myself. I love feeling great. I love feeling wealthy or healthy or but just by putting the words I love in front of it,
Mm,
I'm not lying anymore because it's true. I love feeling healthy even if I'm sick as a dog right now. I love feeling healthy.
mm. Love that.
But first start with releasing that negative or that feeling that makes you feel bad, makes you, that draining
Hmm.
uh, feeling. Let that diffuse. Because if we don't diffuse it, it will keep popping up, and then before we know it, we lash out at other people, and then that hurt spreads worse like a wildfire and is more toxic than any viral epidemic.
Got
That's
it.
how dangerous that hurt is.
Yeah, for sure. Tell me, how do your programs work, or how do, when people find you, right? How is it a specific type of coaching program that you do with your clients? Is person specific, or is there
No,
essentially?
it's a person specific. We can just sign up for 3 months, do you do a bit of coaching depending on where they are at. If they come with health problems, we deal with health problems. If they're dealing with relationship problems, we deal with that. I do specialize also in hormonal imbalances because hormonal imbalances, our whole hormonal system is the first thing that goes out of balance when we hold grudges, and forgiveness puts the hormones back into balance. So that's one of the subjects, but I coach if people want any other subject they need help with and they know they're struggling with forgiveness and finding closure with something, then we do the coaching, and 3 months is often enough. I also have an iThrive web app where people can, they're these audio programs, super affordable, and they can just listen to them. No, they don't even have to listen to them. You can just play them softly in the background, and it releases a lot of your anger and frustration and your
Mm,
bitterness and your sense of betrayal, and it puts other beliefs in there to replace it. So those are the things that I offer. And
okay.
I've got a great gift for your audience.
Yes.
I'm sure they would like that. It's a meditation that called Release and Relax. And it's all about releasing the tension, releasing the guilt from the body, because guilt and resentment, those are very poisonous emotions. And they can just put it on as a gentle pick-me-upper, and they can go to my name, Hanna Kok. Hanna, you can spell with the H or without the H at the end, but the surname is Kok, hannakok.com, and you'll find that meditation there so
Gotcha.
people can
Is that
find
how
it.
people can connect with you and find out more about all your services through your website?
Well, this website will take them to my just to that gift.
Okay.
There are other websites, but as soon as they're on there, they'll get my email address. Then from there, they have all my details, basically.
Awesome. So that's the best way for people to connect with you and find out more about what you have going on.
Yeah,
Got it.
just to sign up for the free gift,
Yep.
and then they will get more information from there, what I have to offer.
Awesome. So tell me a bit more about besides doing that and helping people. What else do you do? I know that you remarry, you have three grown boys, and you're now a grandmother too, which is awesome.
Yes,
So tell me
yes.
about that life.
Well, the one thing about South Africa, the sad part about South Africa is that your children move away because there's not enough work for them here.
Ah,
So I am from the Netherlands originally. So one of the children has gone back to the
back.
Netherlands.
Yeah.
So I've got a good excuse to go and visit because all my family is there. So I can go and visit them there and, of course, enjoy the little grandson. The other boys are also working overseas, so you don't see them as much as other
Yeah.
people do. But then you learn to make a life for yourself anyway. You got to live your own life. You can't
Right.
live it through your children, right?
Right.
So, but I remarried 25 years ago, and so I inherited two stepchildren. I was very fortunate. I got three men in for the price of one.
Yeah,
And that was not always easy. And I really had to do a lot of forgiveness work and apply my own methods
yeah,
to manage that. Fortunately, we were both widowed, so we did not have exes floating around that can now cause all sorts of problems. And
right.
then I did have that the children accepted me. I got them as 5 and 10 years old. And we had that journey together. Really, as I said, I had to apply what I was preaching.
Yeah,
Failed many times, had to forgive myself many times, and still there are times that I have to forgive myself. But
yeah.
yeah, that's
That's
my journey.
huge.
That's all.
Yeah, no, and you're right. I mean, I think just like anything, right? I always tell people when you're never stop growing. The minute you stop growing is when you stop doing, right? And so same thing with I think with forgiveness. It might show up in multiple different times and intervals and phases. Except again, you got to go back to practicing what you're doing and definitely forgiving yourself for whatever's happening to you.
Yeah, and the thing is, maybe you run out of people to forgive in your direct environment. You got a great life, but then start looking at politicians and
Mm,
so like in our country, for example, uh, it's amazing how many people are in government with a criminal record.
wow.
Just sure, right?
Yeah.
And even the prime minister, or what is it, the president.
Yep.
Okay, I don't even want to say what he's accused of. And now I need to find a way to forgive them. And then I'm going like, how can I forgive that? It's unforgivable to rob the people to enrich yourself.
Right.
But then there's another technique that I use is say, okay, the mirror time. I look at them and see what do I see in them? Okay, I'm looking at those corrupt officials and I see they're over focused on money. They are not focused on the greater good for the country. And now I've got to, and then I think, pretend I'm going to give them advice because they don't know me, they're never going to listen to me. So then my advice to them is start shifting your attention away from money and focus on being happy and bringing happiness to the people around you. And then I look at how can I apply my own advice. Then I realized, mm, I was also too much focused on money
Mm,
and not enough focused on my own happiness and the happiness of the people around me. Then I can say, thank you so much, corrupt officials. Even though I don't approve of what you're doing, I've I want to thank you for giving me that awareness about myself, and I forgive you for being my perfect mirror. I don't condone it, but I forgive you for being my mirror, and then I have to forgive myself for needing them in my life to show me where I need to change. So those horrible, corrupt officials have given me a tremendous gift. And
yeah.
since then, I can say to myself, I am happy just because. I'm now choosing to be happy, even if not everything is perfect, because we tend to outsource our happiness, making it depend on if I just get that job or that car or this promotion or whatever it is, and say, you know what? I'm happy just because I'm choosing to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. It reminds me of an African proverb that says, "When there's no enemy within, there's no enemy outside that can do you no harm." And it comes back again to the idea of how are you internally, right? Health, with the thoughts. How are you? And then everything else is really secondary, right? Because it really comes down to you. You know, you cannot change the weather, you cannot change politics. There's certain things you have no control. You do have control of yourself, though, right? And so I love that because it really puts it all together.
Yeah, and then it becomes like that outside world is my mirror. Maybe I don't even know how real it is because if you think of it, everything is energy.
Hmm.
So there's this big vibrational soup around me that I'm interpreting. Now, my conscious mind is processing 40 pieces of information per second of this vibrational soup. You know how much your subconscious mind is processing in that same second?
Hmm.
Anything from 11 to 40 million pieces,
Wow.
right? In To give those numbers a bit of perspective, my subconscious mind processes a book of 500 pages per minute, per second, sorry. Uh, of yeah, 500 pages. And you know how many words I get conscious of in that same second?
Just a few.
One word. One word.
Wow.
So somehow my brain, just like the internet, has all that information out there and has to now decide what it's going to show you on your mobile device.
Yeah.
My brain has to filter those 11 million pieces of information down to 40 pieces of information. So, how real is that world that I'm perceiving? It's my interpretation, and it's filtered down based on what my beliefs are, what I'm expecting, what I'm focusing on. So, how real is that world around me?
Right. Yeah.
It is that reflection of what is going on inside of me, and that external feedback will give me great insight of my blind spots, what my next level, what my next point for development can be. It's amazing
Yeah.
if we're willing to do the inner work, and
Right.
forgiveness is part of that.
Yeah, that's huge. Well, Hannah, I gotta tell you, I really love this conversation and, the idea of forgiving and that's huge. I think that's something that throughout we have to come to terms and recognize and realize what we need to do to be able to forgive whatever it is, people or things, so we can move forward. So I really love that. Any last minute things you want to share before I let you go?
I want to say to your listeners, if you want to be happy, stop outsourcing your happiness. Don't look outside for your happiness and trying to change the external. Go inside. Make peace with who you are. Forgive yourself. Learn to love yourself, warts and all. We are a planet full of messy, imperfect human beings. We're just one of those messy ones. You might as well accept it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Thank you so much again for being here, and we'll definitely make sure that the listeners get your free gift. So thank you for that free gift too, and looking forward for people connecting with you and doing more things with you. All right, thank you again for being here.
Thank you again, and thank you for the audience for listening all this time for this podcast. I value your time.
Thank you again, and for the rest of you guys, do me a favor, please make sure that you guys share this message because somebody definitely needs to hear it. And I will see you at the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.